Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, all my people. I know I'm a few minutes late. Appreciate everybody staying patient. Y'all know what it is, man. Today, got a special guest coming on to talk about 49ers Packers. They're on the Packers side of things, so they're going to tell us everything that we need to know about this really a historic matchup. We think the Cowboys versus Packers was kind of the big rivalry. I think this one might be even bigger, man. Y'all already know what it is, man. San Francisco 49ers morning show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crosstalk TV podcast. Peace. Good morning, man. Hope y'all got y'all coffee ready. You know what I'm saying? I got my hot cocoa. I don't drink coffee. I don't really drink anything that it's supposed to do something. Not saying I don't drink it. I'll drink it, but I don't even know if it works. So like coffee, right? Coffee with caffeine, like it's supposed to like get you all like, oh, get me woken up, get my day started. Like, I don't even know if that stuff works for me. Same with energy drinks. I'll smash an energy drink and I don't feel any different. But I don't know. I don't know. My body's different. Like I don't be feeling stuff. Like coronavirus, right? Like I know it's a real thing. I know it is. But I almost feel like I'm immune to it. I think it started. This is why I think I'm immune to COVID. All right. And not to I don't want to downplay COVID and what it is. I know what it does to people. But for me, I feel like anybody, if you used to drink out the water hose when you were kids, when you was a kid, if you drank out the water hose, I feel like you're immune to COVID. Or if you, like me, right? Like I lick my fingers before throwing the football. Like if you've been licking your fingers before throwing the football since you were 6, 7, 8 years old, I think you're immune to COVID. I'll imagine. If you ever dropped something on the ground and you said 5-second rule and you picked it up and ate it, you're probably immune to COVID. So I don't know. My body real sensitive. It's like this like big callus I've built up between eating bad foods like McDonald's and stuff and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I have had COVID. Maybe I haven't. Every time I got tested, I haven't had it. I'm definitely fully vaccinated. Just got my booster shot. My arm is still a little sore. Had to get it. I'm going to the Senior Bowl. So Senior Bowl is in what, 2 weeks? Senior Bowl is in 2 weeks? A week? I'll be at the Senior Bowl. And not just the Senior Bowl. I'll be at the HBCU Combine as well. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm covering all those things for the Locked On Network, Locked On NFL Draft. Make sure you guys listen to Locked On NFL Draft if you haven't already. Also, listen to Locked On 49ers with myself, Brian Peacock. We did a crossover episode with our guy Peter. And, we got this big rivalry. Talk about rivalry, right? 49ers rivalry is pretty big. And the rivalry between the 49ers Packers, it doesn't stop on the field. It also continues on to the podcasting. So 49ers and 49ers and Packers locked on the Locked On Network, we're always battling right there at the top spot. Like who's going to have the number one show for the week? Who's going to have the number one show for the year? It's tight. It's tight. So there's a rivalry going on within the rivalry. All right. What I want to do a little different. I have somebody coming on in 20 minutes. I don't want to talk about anything other than you telling me like that moment, right? Between the 49ers Packers. Let's talk about the rivalry. All right, let's talk about the rivalry. 49ers Packers. And I want you to tell me about like that moment. Like that was like special. It always comes back to you. It could be Brett Favre kicking the 49ers ass. It could be Terrell Owens' catch. Whatever it is, just that moment that kind of takes you back to being a child. All right. We'll talk about that for another 20 minutes. And then at 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 Eastern, 8, 7 Pacific. My guy Ross Uglem from the he's on from the Packers report, also Bison's report. All right, so he's going to come on. He's going to talk to us about everything pertaining to the Packers. And since he's covered North Dakota State, he has great insight on Trey Lance, the type of person he is, and all that stuff. He got to watch the whole entire thing play out. All right, so here's the link in the chat. If you're on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel. Type in Eric Crocker, and we're going to talk about for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like just the rivalry between the Packers and the 49ers and kind of like that special moment for you. All right, so I'm going to Go ahead. I got my headphones, my handy dandy headphones ready. Terrell Owens, first catch, Kaepernick's big runs. I mean, 49ers, for as scary as Aaron Rodgers is, and Aaron Rodgers, he's scary. They be kicking his ass in the playoffs. Like 49ers be kicking his ass in the playoffs. Here we go. I got my guy Rocky Mountain Razorback, man. Here we go. I'm bringing you on now. What's that moment for you, man? That moment where it just brings that childhood memory, or it could be an adult memory. Obviously, you know, you have the Kaepernick stuff in the last 7 years or whatever that was. But what's that moment for you?
For me, it was that wild card game. Can you hear me okay, Croc?
A little low, but I got you.
Okay. It was that wild card game when T.O. made the catch too. I can always remember my mama, who's not with me anymore, was telling me that
R.I.P.
It's over, son. Like, like we can turn the channel, and I was crying, and I was like, I Packers, they're always beating us, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't let my mom turn off the TV. I was like, I want to see what happens, and sure enough, T.O. had a horrible game, drop passes, all that, makes the play. He's crying in the end zone, and I'm crying at home as a child, and we go on and lose to the Falcons after that next week. But
I think you're really low for everybody. They said they can't hear you at all. I know I turned my headphones up when you got on, but they're having a hard time hearing you.
Sorry, bro. I'll get back into the line. You get the next one
then. All right. Well, he wanted us to get to the next person, but unfortunately, he's the only person that clicked in. Nobody else wants to talk about the rivalry and just that moment for them. I'll talk about mine. All right. Obviously, clearly remember, I mean, I could picture the Terrell Owens catch like it's yesterday. All right. That was a big one. People talk about the drops. There was something that happened before the drop on that same drive, I believe. And I'm going off of memory because, I mean, I haven't rewatched that game because you guys remember back in those days, like the games didn't come back on. It was like you watched it and then that's it. And Jerry Rice, he fumbled. He fumbled. And luckily, they did not have instant replay back then. So, we're talking about, what was that, 96, 97, 98, whenever that was, there was no instant replay. So Jerry Rice, he was getting tackled by like one or two people. The ball got punched out, and they were just like, he was down by contact. And I'm like, yeah, he was down. That motherfucker was not down. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can hear him better now. Go ahead.
All right, is this better, man?
Oh, baby, that's way better. Let me turn it on.
Oh, sorry about
better.
that,
Let's
bro.
go.
So yeah, what I was saying was, my memory is what you were just talking about, that T.O. catch, man. I'll never forget my mom, who was not with me anymore. She wanted to turn the TV off because she thought we had lost the game. They had already started pulling up some of the advertisements and stuff like that, like, closing it out. And I was crying at home. I think I was like, 7 or something like that. I was crying hard. I was like, I hate the Packers. They're always beating us. And, they kept us out and yada, yada. And my mom wanted to change the channel. And I was like, no, I want to see what happens. I want to see, what goes on in this last drive. I think we can do it. And, anyway, she was down it. And Steve Young trips, almost falls down on the play. And he hits T.O. in the end zone. And, a lot of people don't realize, because T.O. was so cocky later on in his career, he burst into tears and started crying like a child as well. His teammates are all hugging him. Mariucci's, slapping him on the helmet, forgiving him for having all those drops. And that's the one memory that I'll never forget. I got my best man in my wedding is a huge Packers fan. And I just sent him that video the other day. So we're ready for it.
So I don't know if we've had this conversation before, but Rocky Mountain Razorback, what's the story behind that name?
So great question, actually. I'm a San Francisco native. I'm from Hayes Valley, but all of my family went to or lived in Arkansas. A few went to the University of Arkansas. After my mom had passed away when I was a child, I actually moved down south to Fort Smith from San Francisco. And I know you moved from Stockton to Arkansas. So you probably know that change is real wild, bro. And over time, I kind of got to fit in. And when you're in Arkansas, you root for the Razorbacks. And I have family that went to the school. So, and fast forward to today, Now I live in Denver, so the Rocky Mountains. So Rocky Mountain Razorback.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good story. Yeah. Arkansas is a little different, man, but they love their Razorbacks. And that's
They
what I
love
know,
them.
and I'll get you off in a second. But I learned as far as football goes, especially collegiate football, it means way more in the South. So when you see the resources and things they put behind these SEC schools, when you come to areas like this, Arkansas, Alabama, even Louisiana, Mississippi, and you see how they back those programs, it's like, well, no wonder why they continue to kick everybody's ass or be,
For sure.
like the top dogs in college football because of how everybody gets behind these programs. And, even you with the Razorback in your name, that speaks volumes to kind of you understanding what those programs mean to just these areas. So
Can I
that's
ask you
what's
two
up.
things real quick, Croc, before I get off?
Of course.
You play Pop Warner in California in Stockton, right? What team were
Yeah,
you on?
the Northside Bengals.
Northside Bengals. I played for the San Francisco Seahawks. I know we're close to the same age. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
remember if we played y'all or not. And then the other thing.
Nah, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. The other thing is, I think. Did you go to Monticello? Were you a mule rider?
Yep.
Yeah.
No. We were Weevil.
Weevil. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I had a friend that I played high school ball with that played down there. His name was Brooks. But anyway, just curious if you played with him.
That sounds familiar.
Brooks White, tight end.
Oh, I'd have to go back and
That's cool,
it's
bro.
been
That's
like
cool,
10
bro.
years. So
I get it.
all right. I appreciate you coming on, man.
For sure, bro. Have a good one.
All right. There we go. We got people coming on, kind of telling their memories of the 49ers Packers rivalry. This is the real rivalry. Again, got the Cowboys thing and the Cowboys rivalry. They haven't played in the playoffs since 95. And I know to everybody in the 80s and 90s, that's the biggest rivalry. And it is a big rivalry in the sense of how I view it because, my big brother, he's a diehard Cowboy fan. Yeah, me being a diehard 49er fan. But now, as of late, even kind of late 90s up until now, the 49ers and Packers have played in the playoffs so many times. They played in the playoffs so many times. All right, so we're going to get our guy Mark on, and we're going to see what Mark, what memory does he have? All right, so Mark, man, what's good, man? What memory do you have? This rivalry goes. First of all, how old are you?
Me, I'm 24. So I was born, I've only seen the bad times.
Yeah, so you don't remember the young, the Brett Favre years, huh?
Nah, I mean, I know about it. I see the stories in '96 when the Packers beat us in the divisional game. It was all fucked up. But yeah, I remember those times. I've only seen the highlights of it. But I mean, for me, the turning point type stuff was was it in 2012? Caps first started against Green Bay. When we played them in the playoffs. And I just remember that Joe Buck call when he's Colin Kaepernick, what a game, Even though I hate Joe Buck, but that's something that I'll always remember, And then for the next couple of games after that, we just kept on dominating them. It was nice, Those were some good times.
I got my guy Ross Uglem coming on, and we're gonna talk about that. And I wonder, is there anything to just one organization just kind of kicking your ass in the playoffs and knocking you out? How does that make you feel? Do you think that there's a level, with Aaron Rodgers where he has to kind of get that monkey off of his back by beating the 49ers? Do you think that's in his head? The fact that, damn, I didn't see them in the playoffs 3 times now, and each time they've knocked me out.
Exactly. And then everybody always pulls up that highlight where he's oh, the Niners didn't draft me. I'm gonna make them regret it type thing, but he's going 3 against us in the playoffs, and then I think he's 6-6 all time against us. So we're his kryptonite, And I live in Chicago, so everybody here is all Bears fans, so they all scared of him. When I saw him with the I own you, I was oh no,
Yeah.
I could never, I'll lose my mind, And I mean, my dad, he lives in San Jose, so my cousins and uncles, they are from the Bay Area. So my parents are divorced. So in 2009 was when I first started to go out to Cali. And then my cousin just showed me all the hype for the Niners. And I was like, fuck, man. I was a Bears fan growing up, but I was like, man, everybody's getting old and they only score 10 points a game. And then they got to worry about defensive special teams going on. That's boring football, And I would like fall asleep watching games, and I'm like 6, 7 years old, and I'm like, man, it's boring, you know. But then my cousin showed me the way, you know. And ever since then, I just
Got
never
you the
looked
way
back.
to be a
I mean, I still
49er.
follow them, you know. I still follow them,
Yeah.
but they ain't my favorite since like 2010. I was like, fuck that. You know? But it's crazy to see like other teams like they just scared this man. I'm like, man, just hit him a couple times, that's it, man, and he will go down. And then like they're like saying like, oh, you gotta worry about the cold. I'm like, it's like a mental thing. And I think like what they got the heaters and everything, you know, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Did you? So you know, did you play football in Chicago at all?
Yeah, I played until high school.
And how was it? You know, even in high school, I know games going to November. What was it like, kind of playing in that cold weather?
Yeah, it was terrible. Like I play wide receiver, so like you would feel it when like the ball, like my quarterback, he would throw like sometimes like when we're warming up like 45, 50-yard bombs, and when it's coming down, you're like, fuck. You like just feel like you're catching a rock. And in high school, they don't give you no fancy stuff, you know. Like if you were like decent, or like if your parents wanted to spend the money and got you like that warm up thing, like for your hands, like that pocket thing.
Hand warmer.
If you were lucky to have that, you know. If not, then you would just have to like, if you sit on the sideline, you just have your hands in your pants type thing, you know. And you're like, man, I'm freezing. Especially if your team's like in the playoffs, you're like, oh man. If you just sitting there on the bench, you're like, this ain't cool, man. But nah, I mean, once you like start playing and the adrenaline's going, you're like, man, let's go. And then like if the defense is killing it, as long as the offense, I feel like for the Niners, as long as we run the ball, like in 2019 with Mostert, with the like 4 or 5 tutties he had, like we'll be fine. Like just keep Rodgers off the field. We need to have them like 8-9 minute like drives at least.
Yeah. All right, Mark, man, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
All right, for sure, man. Have a good one.
All right, stay warm out there in Chicago, Windy City. Got a couple of donations here. My mom and dad fight over these games. Both diehards. Is a huge deal every year in our household, in our family. We don't speak for a little bit after 49ers by 4. Hey, I talk to my brother every day. My big brother. All right, he's 4 years older than me. I'm 34. He's 38. Again, we grew up. He's a diehard Cowboy fan. You know me, loving my 49ers. And we haven't talked. We talk every day. We FaceTime every day. We see each other's face. We FaceTime every day. I got a big bald head. He got a big bald head. We see each other's bald heads every day. And we have not FaceTime since the 49ers beat the Dallas Cowboys. So that kind of lets you know a little bit of how it's going for us right now. Shout out to all my Arkansas 479 in the house, originally from the 831. Okay. See, I Arkansas done kind of adopted me now. They done adopted a real one from Stockton. But yeah, shout out to all our Arkansans. There we go. That's what it's called. And he got that right here, Arkansans, which is weird, which I don't understand how like Arkansas has Kansas in it, right? Like Arkansas, but it's Arkansas and then Kansas is Kansas instead of like Kansas. I don't know. Anyways, I know that's kind of stupid. Anyways, here we go. Got my guy Matt Moses. What's up, Matt? What's a memory from your childhood or as an adult, just what you think exemplifies the 49ers versus Packers rivalry?
Yo, man, what up, Croc, bro? I'm gonna have to say the Kaepernick, the 2012 divisional playoff when, like, because I remember I was like still in California at the time. Around this was before I moved like out here to Ohio, and I remember like that whole like playoff run and everything and the nostalgia, and I was just so excited, bro. And like this was like after like my mom had passed, and my mom, she was like diehard Niners every day, all day. And like, you know, I kept the tradition on with her. And so like I was like, man, I wish she could see this right now. I wish she could see Kaepernick and us doing good like all the years we did bad after like, you know, young and retired, you know, quarterbacks retired, the Garcias, and so like, yeah, that playoff win that we had when Cap ran all over them. And then the other one was when we actually went into Green Bay and won in that divisional, and Kaepernick had that long run. It was like 3rd and 13 or something like that. And he scrambled and got the first down and put us in field goal range, and we ended up winning the game. And those are like the two best like 49ers Packers moments for me. Yeah.
All right, that's dope, man. Love you coming on speaking now. I'm gonna get you off and get the next person on.
All right, bro.
All right, here we go. I got Jeffrey Ray. Good morning, man. How
Hey,
you doing, bro? 2 days in a row. Let's go.
2 days in a row, bro. I'm back. Hopefully, I won't be as nervous as I was yesterday.
Oh, you're good. The more you talk, listen, I come up here like I have it all under control and stuff like that, but I be nervous too. So
All right, cool. Hey, so I got a little bit of a story for you. So my daughter in 2019 was diagnosed with leukemia, and we were traveling back and forth. Me and my wife were traveling back and forth to San Francisco to UCSF Medical Center, and so a bunch of guys at my work, people that I delivered to and stuff, some of my accounts, were trying to get some money together to help us go back and forth. And we already had raised enough money to go up and spend time with my daughter. And one of my accounts calls me up. He knows I'm a big Niner fan. Every time I go in there, we talk about Niners. And he reaches out to me and tells me in 2019, hey, bro, I got us tickets front row at the Green Bay Niner game for the championship game. And so during that year, the emotions that we were dealing with our daughter and stuff, being able to go there, kind of take a load off, not have to deal with what was going on with my kid, and watching us win that championship was amazing.
that's dope, man. Damn, man, making a real nigga. Damn, man.
Yeah.
Damn. I know how it is. You know, I have a daughter, and you know, I got two daughters, and one of my daughters, there was this time where I don't know, she was doing some weird like kind of shaking thing, and my wife was scared and you know, had to get like her like tested for, I don't know, they did something and they hooked up this thing like with all these things to her head. I just remember how it like hurt my heart to see my daughter have to walk around with this thing attached to her, you know, and just like, and my daughter, you know, she ended up being fine. I can only imagine, you know, your baby, your little baby girl, you know, having to go through that
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, her having to be in the hospital and y'all travel back and forth and maybe sometimes her, you know, you probably thinking of her feeling like she's alone at times, you know, and I can only imagine, you know, that kind of being
Yeah.
being
At the
really
time,
tough.
she was only 4 years old. We have 4 girls and 2 boys, so we got a big family. And luckily, we were able to keep the whole family together, go up there and spend time with her. UCSF Medical Center, I got to give a shout out to that hospital because November 18th was her last dose of chemotherapy, and she's completely healthy.
Let's go. Let's
Oh,
go.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that game would just always hold a special place in my heart because of the people, the community that we have here, and them reaching out and doing that for me. It was just totally unexpected, and it was my first Niner game too. You know, I mean, I
Wow.
wish I was able to go and watch the Niners play in Candlestick, but at least I got to go do that.
Listen, man, I done been to Candlestick, and I'll say this. Everybody, I think it's more so of maybe what Candlestick meant to people. Cause that place was a
Mm-hmm.
dump. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't like everybody, oh, Candlestick was better. Like, no, the hell it wasn't.
it's
Candlestick was
just a
trash,
history.
but it's just the history of it. Like, it had the
Yeah.
history. My family, they live up there in Frisco in Hunters Point. So
Mm-hmm.
like my mom's grandpa, grandma, a lot of my aunties and stuff like that, they lived up there in Hunters Point. So out the window, I remember going up there all the time as a kid, and we look out the window and you could see Candlestick Park out there. So you know, those
Oh,
are kind
that's
of the
awesome.
memories I have of Candlestick.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, as far as it, people be like Levi's is trash. It, like, nah, man, Candlestick was like you could smell like I don't know, like animals or something. It was weird.
Oh,
I
bro,
went there a
it's
few times.
It's like out here too. Shoot, I live in Tulare County. I know you're in Stockton or you're from Stockton. My whole family's
Yeah,
from
I'm from
Lodi,
Stockton.
bro.
Oh, okay, I went to Tokay and Lodi. So
Oh, right on, man. Right on.
yeah.
Hey, thanks for getting me on, man. I appreciate it.
All right, all good. Damn. I wasn't expecting to get teary-eyed over anything today, but uh awesome story. And that's pretty cool to, people come on here and feel comfortable enough to kind of share their testimony and stuff. You know, y'all know I come on here and I tell y'all all kind of stuff about my life and personal life, etc. Whatever's going on. And I always feel like there has to be like some level of realness, right, with all this and how everything kind of works out. And I ain't nobody gonna be like, oh, Croc is he? Y'all know exactly who I am. And I always kind of leave the door open for anybody to ask questions or whatever. Still waiting on Ross to join us. He should be joining us soon. So I'll put the chat back in there, the link to come on live. And again, we're just talking about and sharing stories about the 49ers Packers and that rivalry and kind of what it means to you, a specific moment, whether it's your childhood, adulthood. And I've talked about Aaron Rodgers, and I definitely want to ask Ross about this, but I wonder if does Aaron Rodgers have to prove to himself that he can beat the 49ers in this game, in this playoff game? You know, he's seen the 49ers 3 times in the playoffs, and each year is different. Like I could talk about 2012. This is not the 2012 or 2013 or 2012 and 13. This is not those teams. All right. So those games have nothing to do with this game, aside from the fact that it's the same organization. But I do think that there is something to that, right? There is something to that in the sense of when you see that logo, like you know what it means and you know what it does. And there's probably some scar tissue there. All right, here we go. I got my guy Deshaun coming on. Deshaun, what's good, man? Well, you got a rivalry story, or what does this rivalry mean to you?
This rivalry for me is big, man. You know, my dad is actually from Hunters Point. So growing up, it was Niners, Giants all day. But,
Yeah.
you know, for me, you know, I was born in 88. So, you know, I didn't get to see the glory days, you know, in the 80s, 90s. So for me, I love when we had Justin Smith, Patrick Willis, and them boys. We wouldn't let nobody rush for 100 yards for like 2 seasons in a row. Like, that's when I was loving it. Then we got Colin Kaepernick. Man, I just remember being the most proudest Niner fan, knowing we wasn't letting people do nothing. And so when we used to play, you loved it, man. The confidence was all in the air. And then when Kaepernick came and did that sleeveless game, dude, there was no higher time for a Niner fan for me.
That's dope, man. That's dope. All right, I'm gonna get you off. I see you getting that workout in, man. Lifting up weights for me as well, bro.
I got you. All right.
All right, here we go. Got a couple more people. I do got my guy Ross. He's on. He's about to be joining us. Let me get to the next 2 callers real quick. So real quick, we got Chili Odell. Is that right?
Chili Odell.
Okay, there we go. Chili Odell. 49ers, Packers, memory. What this this rivalry means to you. Talk to me a little bit about that.
For me, big time. Obviously, I'm older. I'm 41, so I was around for all those bad times in the 90s. We really only had that one good moment in the 90s. Let's be honest.
I know, right? Yeah,
that's pretty much it. So I've really enjoyed just this last decade of us being able to just kick the Packers' butts in the playoffs. Man, it's been great for me having grown up. So all the Kaepernick plays. I mean, I think the biggest one for me, honestly, was that Cap throwing that pick six, but then coming right back, got it, and just boom, we took over that game, which was like for me was as a guy who grew up watching those games was like, we can't do this again with the Packers because we did that a lot in the 90s, a lot of turnovers, a lot of dumb mistakes. So I was like, not again, we got to do this. So that's what's been great for me. It's just seeing us being able to dominate them so far this last decade in the postseason.
Awesome.
And
awesome. Thank you for coming on and sharing
on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, I'm gonna get the next caller on. All right, here we go. Got my guy Dion. It looks like Dion. Are you in the gym too?
No, I'm back in. Dad, but I gotta go away.
All right, there we go. I think we got you now. It was a little. It sounded like you. I know you're in the gym, but it sounded like you might have been in McDonald's using their Wi-Fi. I think you're good now, though.
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to knock this dad bod off, brother. I really am.
I feel you.
Yeah. Man, my memories, honestly, I remember in the 90s when Brett Favre knocked us off. I hated that shit. And then, to be honest with you, the only other memories I have of us versus the Packers is the regular season, but mainly the postseason more recently when we knocked them off. Those 2 against Cap and that one where Raheem Mostert ran all over their ass. So those are my fondest memories, man. And we're going to make another one on Saturday, baby. We got this.
I know.
There ain't no choices, man. Sir. Everybody out there thinking that we might lose, just put the ball in Elijah Mitchell's hands and Debo hands and let us run them all the way to the NFC Championship, baby. And we better
Yes,
not face the
sir.
Rams because we just gonna beat the brakes off them.
All right, Dion, I'm gonna let you get back to your workout, man. I'm gonna get everybody on
Peace, brother.
in a little bit. All right.
None but love, baby.
Yes, sir. Shout out to my guy Dion. Real quick, got this contribution before I get to the guest. A few days ago, I said the 49ers cannot cover slant fades in cover one, and you blew my concern off. Lock on pack. Peter stated how that's their strength. So I think you're talking about slot fades. So slot fades, that's tough, right? 49ers got beat on a slot fade against the Packers early in the season. I believe it was Lazard down the right side. A-Rod threw a ball in there. They called a pass interference on one on Diamador Lenore. That's tough because you know how Aaron Rodgers is. Anytime if he sees anything that's could be potentially a favorable matchup, he's going to check it to the right play. And 49ers, they play any kind of single high, he's probably going to that slot fade. So that's something that 49ers definitely going to make sure that they have covered. The way to kind of eliminate that, you got to run a little bit too high, but you can't run too high all game. All right, y'all, here we go, man. With no further ado, I got my guy, Ross Uglem, coming on. Ross, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm good, Croc. How are you?
I'm good. You sound good. We got Ross Uglem. He's of the Packers Report and also Bisons Report. So we'll get, a few comments from you on Trey Lance because, obviously he's a big storyline here with the 49ers. But first, man, before we get into it, the whole Packers stuff, I want to ask you, what's your, just one of your favorite memories, 49ers, Packers, and kind of what this rivalry means to you?
Outside of when Jerry Rice fumbled?
Outside of when Jerry Rice fumbled, yeah.
It's got to be, unfortunately, if you're a Packer fan of this vintage, it's got to be the exciting regular season games, right? The Monday nighter out in San Francisco where Rodgers, or no, that was in Green Bay. The Monday nighter in Green Bay where Rodgers threw that sideline ball to Equanimeous St. Brown to set up a game-winning field goal. Obviously, this year's game where they were dominating for most of the game, let San Francisco come all the way back, and then did their thing in 48 seconds. But I tell you what, Croc, if you're a Packers guy, there haven't been many fond memories of the playoffs. Certainly not, of a human of my vintage.
Right. So it's crazy because you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers and kind of what he's been and just how special he is, but still like, dang, got to get this monkey off our back when playing the 49ers. And I want to start off by asking that. We know how special Aaron Rodgers is, but for whatever reason, and again, I've said it on here, the playoff teams that he played in 2012, 2013, definitely different than what he saw in 2019 and even what he's going to see Saturday evening. But do you think there is still this certain element of like him having to prove to himself that he can beat this team in the game that matters most?
I don't know. I mean, I think, oftentimes we put a lot on just specifically like Rodgers, but the defense gave up 37 points in the 2019 playoffs. In the 2012 playoffs, the defense gave up 45 points. Yeah, you can ask Rodgers to score 46 and you can ask Rodgers to score 38, but is it ultimately his fault? Is it ultimately his problem? I don't know, that it is. I get it. I do. I understand why it's Rodgers against the 49ers, but it's really the Packers against the 49ers. And if you have concern about this game on the Green Bay side, it's the same stuff, right? It's run defense versus run offense. I think you're a little bit certainly less frightened if you're a Packers fan of Jimmy G, especially a Jimmy G when you're talking about a recovering thumb and now a new shoulder injury. You're a lot less frightened of him than you were of Kaepernick if you're talking about these historical playoff matchups. But it's unfortunately for Green Bay for the last three playoff matches, this one being the fourth, it's all the same thing. Can you stop the run? And that's, I think, going to decide this one.
I want to ask you, 49ers and Packers, they had a big-time matchup early in the season. That was a game with a lot of fireworks. Packers jumped out to a big lead. 49ers stormed back. Some weird things happened. Jimmy Garoppolo threw a ball backwards. I don't know. But at the end of the game, Jimmy Garoppolo, boom, boom, boom. 49ers drive down. They score a touchdown to take the lead. 37 seconds left. Big bad man. Aaron Rodgers drives down, scores a touchdown. Real quick, I want to ask you, what are the differences, between the Packers from week 3 and the Packers that the 49ers will see this weekend?
Oddly enough, they're healthier, which sounds crazy, but it's true. They were able to get back. I think Randall Cobb probably played in that game, but they're able to get back Randall Cobb, which is no, he played in that game. They're able to get Randall Cobb back, able to get David Bakhtiari back. He did not play in that game. I can pretty much guarantee you. I know Zadarius Smith didn't play in that game. That might have that was a Jair Alexander game, so he was in that game. But it's strange. I mean, truly it is, as far as Green Bay kind of having hit their stride, but getting Zadarius Smith back and Randall Cobb back and Jair Alexander back and David Bakhtiari back and a bunch of guys, and I don't know, specifically who missed that game against the 49ers, but with the exception of the ACL tears of Robert Tonyan and Elton Jenkins, Green Bay is about as full strength as they're going to be. And that's when you look at the 49ers and, obviously if Bosa clears protocol, he clears protocol, but you look at what happened to Fred Warner at the end of that game. You talk about shoulder and thumb with San Francisco. And that's one thing, if I'm a 49ers fan, I'm concerned about is these Niners have been in playoff mode for like 5 weeks. I mean, they've been grinding with no break.
Right. And I mean, it started against the Houston Texans. Well, first you had the game on the road against Tennessee, and we all saw how that game ended, last second field goal. After that, Jimmy Garoppolo played the rookie Trey Lance, and we'll get to him. He led the 49ers to victory over the Texans, which essentially, if they don't win that game, they're not in the playoffs right now. We're not having this conversation. And then, like you said, just grinding it out against the Rams, having to come back, grinding it out against the Dallas, the way the game ended, and probably was a little bit closer than they had to be. I want to touch on a little bit about Aaron Rodgers and kind of what he's done this year. I think we are we're so used to just seeing Aaron Rodgers dominate that I think some people don't take the time to really talk about the excellence that he plays with. Right now he's having an amazing year. I mean, I think I heard a stat, something like that. Like he's had like 20 touchdowns and 0 interceptions over the last so many games or something like that. How does he do such a good job of taking care of the ball?
Man, it used to drive guys nuts too, because it was oftentimes where he would hold it and then throw it away, take a sack, things like that. I mean, he's always been careful with the football, but really I think the marriage to Matt LaFleur has been the most important part, in the sense of there are easy access throws now, where it was a lot of ISO ball with Mike McCarthy and a lot of, dangerous places to put the football. Now there are easy access throws within the offense, and he knows if his 20-yard shot, his 30-yard shot, even his 18-yard shot isn't there, he knows where the tight ends are. He knows where the backs are. They have a lot of bootleg stuff with guys running in the flat that'll catch the ball and run for 6-7 yards. There's designed throws, to Aaron Jones that are in the offense. There are screens to Devontae Adams that are in the offense. There's a lot of easy throws where he doesn't feel like he ever has to force the ball. And honestly, what I think has been the most impressive about this entire season is last year, until the end when Bakhtiari blew out his ACL. Last year, Green Bay was very fortunate, in my opinion, from an offensive health standpoint. Tonyan played the whole year. Adams played the whole year. They were able to get those guys both double-digit touchdowns through the air. Aaron Jones stayed relatively healthy, and if he wasn't healthy, A.J. Dillon and Jamal Williams were. And the offensive line largely stuck together. This year, that's been the complete opposite. Billy Turner's been out. Elton Jenkins blew out his knee. Bakhtiari played one game, and that was 25 snaps against the Lions. You have seen Josh Myers, by the way, the rookie center that they drafted to take over for Corey Linsley. He has been out since week 3 or 4. They have been just sticking this offensive line together. He said the Tunyon ACL injury, significant missed time from Cobb, significant missed time from MVS. And everybody's like, oh, MVS isn't that good. MVS completely changes the geometry of the offense in the sense of what you have to defend long. And 49ers fans will remember plenty of MVS. He's beaten them for a big one basically all the last 3 times they've played, if not multiple big ones. So that's why I think, and I believe he will win MVP. You saw the first team All-Pro voting. It's all the same voters. He's going to win the MVP. And this, though it hasn't been as statistically good as 2020, 2021 was so impressive just because of the guys that he was missing, the guys that were blocking for him, and the guys he was throwing to.
All right, so I kind of want to continue to kind of talk about that and add. You're talking about who he's throwing to. You got Devontae Adams. A lot of 49er fans are thinking, well, you got to take away Devontae Adams. You got to stop Devontae Adams, and then you'll be fine. Is there any such thing as stopping Devontae Adams? Because I don't think so.
Right. It's funny you ask that because you go to the Baltimore game, which they were, down bad from a personnel standpoint as far as, who was available to them in that game. But they had this coverage called 17 Bulldog, which was a flat out bracket coverage. And he ended up with 6 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. Now, of course, then MVS goes for 598 and 1. Rodgers still throws for 270 and 3 touchdowns. And it's not a problem because Mercedes Lewis gets involved. Alan Lazard gets involved. Tyler Davis catches a 22-yard ball, on and on and on and on. But that was the closest I've seen is what Baltimore did. And that was a hard double. And what I think the problem with that then becomes is A, you can run the football a little bit more, but B, Green Bay is healthy as far as the pass catchers are concerned this game, in the sense that they will have Lazard, Scantling, Cobb, and their back Aaron Jones to throw the football to. So if you're going to hard double on every play, which was this 17 Bulldog thing that they came up with out in Baltimore, I think you could run into some serious problems with one-on-ones with Scantling specifically. And Cobb's going to be able to work the middle. Lazard's going to be able to do Lazard things. Aaron Jones in space against linebackers that aren't Fred Warner. You love that idea. I mean, there's just a lot of ways that Green Bay can beat you. And if you don't hard double, all of a sudden you're right. Devontae's got 8 catches for 140 and 2 touchdowns, and you're wondering what the hell happened.
Right. And we see how quick Devontae Adams can get up on you, especially with the production that he has. I mean, gosh, special player. 17 Bulldog or Bulldog 17. I'm assuming that's coming from him playing for Fresno State, wearing number 17.
Well, we're 17 now too. So, I mean, that was, I think the defensive coordinator out there is Wink Martindale, but you heard them talk about that call and you watched, I mean, you literally, I could watch it happen. Hard double, a press corner with a safety right over the top of him. And it allowed Marquez Valdez-Scantling to go off. I mean, he had 5 catches for 100 yards. And that's the type of thing where, if it's Juwan Winfrey or whomever is that, that 5th, 6th receiver, you're not as concerned if you're going to hard double Devontae, whereas Scantling will get you, Lazard will get you, and Cobb certainly will get you if you're going to, double Devontae and have Cobb one-on-one with a linebacker. That's going to be a problem, or even Cobb one-on-one with a true nickel or a true dime. It's not an advantageous matchup for the defense.
When you look at a game like this, and you talked about how you guys do so well throwing the ball around, you have all these different weapons. Do you think the elements will maybe slow down the Packers offense to any level, or do you say, what, regardless of whatever the temperatures are outside, or doesn't matter if it drops below 0, they're still going to grip it and rip it and throw the ball around to all those special players?
I mean, I think you'll see an attempt at balance, and you certainly see with the 49ers, they're obviously, in my opinion, and you look at the DVOA numbers, they're second in run defense, and they're just an average pass offense. They're 16th. The strength of their team, as you saw against Dallas, is probably what they do defensively. So that's going to be kind of the balance for the Packers, because I've seen, for example, games like that Baltimore game where they had an elite run defense and a terrible pass offense with guys missing. And Green Bay still was convinced that they needed to have offensive balance, where if they would have just had Rodgers, and I think in that game he threw it 31 times, if Rodgers throws it 45 times, they blow the Ravens out, in my opinion. And that's the same situation where, Rodgers has big hands. He handles the football better than anyone I've ever seen, from a standpoint of taking the shotgun snap, carrying out fakes, RPO fakes where you're sticking it in and pulling it back out, flipping those little slants. He has big hands and is able to handle the football without turning it over in the cold, which I know sounds really simple, but it is an important thing. And that's where I'll be interested to see what Green Bay does. You go back to that game against the 49ers early on in the season, 25 runs for 100 yards. That's 4 yards a carry. It's fine, but it was really about balance and allowing Rodgers to throw it 33 times. I don't know if they're going to throw it 40 times and run it 15 instead. I think you're still going to see some run action, even if it's just to set up the pass, because of how much respect they're going to ultimately have for that 49ers run defense. I think their best matchup is to throw it. You're right, though, with the elements and the way that the Packers have called plays all season, will they just zing it around the field? I don't know. I don't know as though that's realistic.
I think the 49er fans will probably tell you that they're hoping that they run, because 49ers, since I believe it's week 8, they've been the number 1 defense against the run in DVOA. So they've been really stout against the run. They've made it very difficult for a lot of teams. So if you can try to make the Packers one-dimensional, we'll see if, the Packers want to see that. Got a guy right here, Know Your Personnel. He says, how do you think the Packers will deal with the evolution of Debo since the first game? And in the first game that the 49ers played against the Packers, 49ers running back was Trey Sermon. He doesn't even see the field. They didn't have Elijah Mitchell. And Debo Samuel in that game had 0 rushing yards. And I'm assuming 0 rushing attempts. So
2 carries.
Obviously,
2 carries, 0 yards.
2 carries, 0 yards. All right. Since then, they've really made it a priority to get him involved in both the passing game and the run game. When you watch the Cowboy game, the first play of the game, he catches a slant for like 13 yards. It did get called back for some movement stuff or whatever. But then the very next 2 plays, he's running in between the A and the B gap. Like, he's the running back. So they're making a focal point to use him everywhere on the field, outside, slot, in the backfield. How do you think the Packers will try to handle that?
It's interesting because you definitely, they've struggled with that. That was one in that game at US Bank Stadium where they lost to a mediocre Vikings team. They being the Vikings lined Justin Jefferson up in the backfield. Green Bay didn't ID it. He ended up one-on-one with Green Bay's dime safety, which was an untenable matchup for the Packers. Justin Jefferson scores on that deal. So IDing Debo will be a big deal. And look, Crack, my opinion, that was Green Bay's by far best run defense performance. You look at 21 carries for the 49ers that night for 67 yards. You hold Debo to 2 carries for 0 yards. That's a big deal. I think Devondre Campbell is going to be very, very important in this game as far as chasing Debo side to side. I know that there are some A and B gap runs, but a lot of what Debo does are the reverses or are the jets, stuff that tries to get him outside, and you're pulling guys and they're trying to get DBs to make tackles in the alley, stuff like that. But going to sideline is going to be very important. I think it's going to be an important game for Brandon Ayuk to play well, because Green Bay, if they do what I think they'll do, which is probably sit Chandon Sullivan and play Jair Alexander in the slot, because they've been so good outside with Rasul Douglas and Eric Stokes, truly, truly elite on the outside ever since the acquisition of Rasul Douglas. Eric Stokes has been excellent for a rookie. So if you're going to play Jair Alexander inside, or maybe even, and this is his first game back since hurting his shoulder. So I don't know as though, mirroring or tracking Debo with his size is really what you want to do with Jair Alexander, but they're going to be okay in the pass game, because really no matter where Debo lines up, there's going to be a capable corner in front of him. It's the ability of Devondre Campbell to track him as he does all the gadget stuff. And you have to hope, if you're the Packers, that Darnell Savage doesn't miss an important tackle, because Amos is as rock solid as it gets. Savage is a little bit questionable. You get the Packers spread out, maybe get them into dime, maybe Chandon Sullivan's playing dime, maybe Henry Black's playing dime, even maybe Kevin King is playing dime. Now you're in a situation where you've got another kind of questionable tackler. So it's going to be a big deal. But I will say this: if Deebo Samuel doesn't have a big game, the 49ers are not winning, period. They just aren't.
Right. All right. Well, do you think that there's any chance? Because I know put a lot of emphasis on Deebo Samuel, and a guy that has been quiet but obviously shows the ability to have explosive games, George Kittle. And then we have Brandon Ayuk coming on as a late, and then also Juwan Jennings, he's come on as a late. Do you think that they'll say, hey, we're going to take away Deebo Samuel, but then that might leave a guy like George Kittle a little bit more one-on-one? And would that be able to hurt the Packers?
It certainly could. I mean, you go back to the Baltimore game that I was talking about, and Tyler Huntley had absolute tunnel vision in that game. Mark Andrews just destroyed poor Darnell Savage. And I like Savage. He's a good player, comes up with big interceptions. I think, he has not had the season he probably wants to have had this year, but they put Darnell Savage and said, you take away Mark Andrews when they played Baltimore. And it went as bad as it could have gone. 10 catches for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns on 13 targets. Mark Andrews tore them up. Now, they completely eliminated Hollywood Brown, and basically no non-Mark Andrews guys did anything. So if the primary focus is George Kittle, I don't think George Kittle will have a great day, but I don't think George Kittle can be the primary focus. I think he's going to be the secondary weapon to what they're going to do with Deebo. And I think he does have a chance, because I don't think you can man him up with Devondre Campbell. I don't think that's a great matchup for Green Bay. I think the guy that's going to end up messing with Kittle more often than not is Amos. And you hope that that's an okay matchup if you're the Packers, because he maybe doesn't move quite as well in space as Mark Andrews does, or like through the route tree as Mark Andrews does. But Kittle's much, much nastier after the catch, in my opinion. Yeah. And that's a guy that you talk about fond memories of playoff games against the Packers for 49ers fans. There's a lot of George Kittle damage in those fond memories.
When you look at this game, you have a West Coast team traveling to Green Bay. And I mean, the temperatures are going to be frigid, right? I know the game in 2013, it was at Lambeau Field. Again, frigid.
That was not a very good Packers team, by the way. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you.
No, they were like 8-7-1, right? They were
they were not very good. Yep.
But in the sense of how the 49ers handled the weather conditions, do you think they can replicate that in the sense of, hey, we're going to go out there and at least look like the weather isn't bothering us in this game? Because I think most people are assuming that that's going to be the biggest advantage. I mean, outside of having Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that, but the biggest advantage for Green Bay is, it's super cold weather. But in 2013, not to say that that's the reason, the 49ers won, whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was similar conditions, and the West Coast team traveled and still played well. Do you assume that the 49ers can kind of, not say replicate that same performance, but at least perform to a point where if the 49ers do lose, it won't be because of the weather?
Yeah, and here's what I'll say about that, Croc, and what I really think is honestly the key to the game, and that is Green Bay has had the unfortunate habit of letting the other team go up 7-0 in almost all their games. They've sort of corrected that in the last couple of weeks, even though they lost to Detroit because they put Love in and whatever. I mean, they pulled their starters, but the win over Minnesota is the one that certainly comes to mind as far as finally starting fast a little bit. I think they spotted Cleveland at 7, and they did. They spotted Cleveland a 6-0 lead. Starting fast is going to be so important for the Packers because you want the ball in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands. You want Jimmy down 17-3 or 17-7 or 20-7. You want that. And that sounds super obvious. Yeah, idiot, you want to play from ahead or you want to be winning the game. But my point is this. When it's that cold, as much as they're professional athletes and you want to believe that their heads are in it every down, every snap, if you're down 17-7 or if you're down 20-7, 24-10, it's a lot easier to quit when it's the wind chill is 6 or the wind chill is 7. And for so many reasons, I think it's important. Green Bay does not want to play from behind. They do not want these pass rushers from this 49ers factory. I know Omenu's had a great year. Obviously, everybody knows about Bosa. They're able to get up the field if they know they can pin their ears back. And Green Bay just is so much better built from ahead. By the way, getting Whitney Merciless back, getting Zadarius Smith back, you have a fearsome fivesome of Kenny Clark as a true interior problem, and then the edge guys that you can move all over in Gary, Merciless, Preston, and Z, and it becomes a serious problem when you're playing from ahead and you know the other team is going to throw. So that, in my opinion, Croc, is where the weather comes in the biggest is are you way ahead and can you get San Francisco to quit? Because I think that and not that they're happy with where they're at, but I think there's plenty of ways that you can pridefully lose this game if you're the 49ers and just say, hey, we weren't even supposed to be here. We won however many games to get here. You get late into the third quarter and it's 27-10 Packers. I think you could see a lot of, well, this is how far we were supposed to go. Because I don't think anybody, even after that Texans game, thought, okay, this is an NFC championship team or this is a Super Bowl team. There have been 49ers teams in the last 10 years where those are the expectations. I know there's hope and you always want to go to the Super Bowl and win the whole thing. But as far as like where 49ers fans assumed this club could go, this is probably it or towards the end of it.
I would say that if you asked before the season, they felt like this is a team that could make a Super Bowl run. I'd say when the 49ers were 2-4 or 3-5, they would probably say, hey, we're good with a divisional round. Like if you told us, hey, you'll make it to the divisional round, don't worry about it. But I think with how the season kind of, ended 49ers, I believe the second half of the season having like the best record down the stretch, they started to improve in all facets of their game. I think the expectations as far as the fan base goes has risen kind of drastically because it is a much different team. The first half of the season, the big thing that we were coming on here having a conversation about is who are the 49ers? Like, what is their identity? We know what their identity is supposed to be, but it's lost. Where is it? Where is it? And all of a sudden, the second half of the season, they started to kind of get back to their identity and they found it. And we'll see if that continues. I do have one more question I know I want to ask you about Trey Lance as well. I'm joined here, if you guys are just joining us, Ross Uglem, Packers report, Bison report. So he has a lot of good insight on not just the Packers, but North Dakota State as well. And we all know 49ers have a player that was drafted number 3 overall from North Dakota State. Real quick, I wanted to answer this super chat here. Last week, Cowboys guests touted their ranked number 1 offense and thought Amari and CD would ball on our secondary, seeing similar confidence. It sounds like he's saying that you are I don't want to say hyping your offense. We know what the Packers offense is, but I think he's saying that he doesn't think it'll be as much of an issue as you are. That's what the Packers kind of thought. I mean, the Cowboys thought.
I mean, Dak Prescott's not rolling through that door for Green Bay. That's the main difference. I mean, you can say Amari and CD are more impressive than, I don't care, Lazard and Adams or Cobb and Adams or whoever you want to pair with Adams, but the difference is the guy pulling the trigger, in my opinion. As far as what Dallas didn't do well was the quarterback played poorly. And I don't think that's debatable that the quarterback played poorly. And maybe Rodgers will play poorly, but I wouldn't bet on that.
So when you say he played poorly, do you think that there was anything that contributed to him playing poorly? 49ers were able to kind of get there with a 4-man pass rush.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think, specifically poor Tyron Smith, man, he was such a good player for such a long time. I don't think he played particularly well. And I'm not saying that the 49ers did nothing because they played well specifically to continue to get after Prescott the way that they did after the Bosa injury. I thought was really impressive. But he as an individual player really, I don't think kind of pulled his head out of his ass until the fourth quarter, which you can't do and win a playoff game. I mean, they almost did it, but you have to play well quarters 1 through 4, or at least which Rodgers has done for a lot of the season, at least quarters 2 through 4. And that slow start and just missing guys and not being efficient offensively, that killed them as far as their actual opportunity to win that game. They were, it's an old pro wrestling term. They were working from underneath the entire time, and they were climbing up the hill when they maybe didn't need to be.
All right. So I have one more question for you about this game. And obviously we'll get to Trey Lance a little bit, but
sure.
Is there anything about the 49ers that worry you? Like if you were to say,
for sure.
if we were, if Sunday comes, right? Sunday comes and the 49ers won, what would you say the reason?
Green Bay struggled to stop the run. Probably had an uncharacteristic Rodgers turnover or a fumble like the Aaron Jones fumble against the Bucs last year. Something odd on offense happened. And ultimately, I would say either Joe Barry's defense or Mo Drayton's special teams had a significant gaffe as well. I mean, that's where, Green Bay made a change at defensive coordinator. And if you look at the DVOA numbers, if you look at the advanced numbers, that unit really didn't get any better. Special teams got worse. I would guess that the 49ers got up into the 30s if they won the game. That would be my guess. And ultimately, I think that would be, couple of big Kittle plays, running the ball well. That stuff's scary. Kittle's a scary matchup. Debo doesn't worry me as much just because I think from a personnel standpoint, Green Bay matches up really well there. Right. But Kittle is scary. Elijah Mitchell is scary. And, Mike McDaniel and Kyle are always scary. As much crap as Kyle gets for this or that, or the way he's handled the quarterback situation this year, Green Bay has been diced up by Kyle too many times for anybody to. And I know Green Bay is 6 in some place now, 6.5 point favorites, but I think you have to respect this 49ers team, no question.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited. I was telling people right after the game, even, with the Cowboys game and whatnot, I actually feel like the 49ers match up better against Green Bay as opposed to Dallas, just because stylistically from that standpoint, Dallas Cowboys, their defense takes the ball away more than anyone in the NFL. And that's something that worried me, especially when you have Jimmy Garoppolo on the other side, which it did kind of bite us late in the game. And then offensively, obviously, the Cowboys just have all these explosive weapons all over the field. They spread it out, they'll throw it around, and that kind of led to them having the number one offense. So that, not to say like worry me, but I knew like, okay, those things are going to be a challenge. 49ers were able to kind of keep those under wraps. Now, this game is just different because from the way we look at it on this side, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Devontae Adams, and that's a huge problem. Anytime you step on the field at the same time with those guys and what they're able to do. And everybody knows like that team is going to go as far as, Aaron Rodgers takes them. But most people would probably tell you, even though there's obviously like terrific players on the other side, we didn't even really talk a whole lot about Aaron Jones and his ability and Dylan and how Dylan could potentially, wear down the 49ers defense, especially in that cold weather, being 250 pounds, being able to run the ball that he has. I just think, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I did want to ask you before you get out of here about Trey Lance a little bit. And there are a lot of 49er fans, some that are really excited, some that are just like, oh, no, 49ers should have never taken this guy number 3 overall. He's coming from North Dakota State. How could they take a guy from a Division II school? I know he's FCS 1AA, but that's what they say. Sure. How could they take a guy from a Division II school? He's never going to get this. Can you, for the naysayers out there, the doubters of Trey Lance, or maybe even for the guys that like him, but just give your opinion of what you saw from Trey Lance at his time at North Dakota State.
Just all the tools in the world, and I think it's understandable to be concerned. I think it definitely made a lot of sense for him to sit this year. I don't know if it was necessarily at all times the best thing for the 49ers, but for his individual development, especially, his what you would call his redshirt sophomore season, he only got one game, and that was obviously due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So you're talking about a kid with 19 career starts at the FCS Division I AA level. Should have had a showcase game at Oregon his sophomore year. That gets canceled due to COVID-19. But because North Dakota State is 9-3 against the big boys, and most of those, by the way, are against Power 5 opponents because no one in the group of 5 will play them. They know they'll lose. So, this Power 5 every year is no more. They used to get a Power 5 game every year. They played Kansas State, beat them, played Iowa State, beat them, played Iowa, beat them, beat Minnesota, beat them twice. They would get those guys to schedule them. Though they're not calling anymore because they're not going to pay. It's called a buy game. You pay the school $500,000. They come to your school, you fill up your stadium, you make your money back, you get a win, whatever. Not the way it works with NDSU. So Trey never got that showcase game. It was supposed to be against Oregon out in Eugene. And it's not like Oregon ducked them. There was a freaking pandemic. So they didn't get to play that game. And so you're really basing his development off of like that preseason game in LA. You're a lot of course, I didn't love Kyle's plan against Arizona, but things didn't go that great against Arizona. But then you started to see some of the really special stuff against Houston, that toss across the field, I believe, to Debo. That throw that Kittle one-handed, great play by Kittle, but that was high-level stuff from Trey, and that's what you're going to see is there isn't a throw he can't make. There isn't a play with his feet he can't make. You just have to trust Mike McDaniel. You have to trust Kyle. You have to hope that the development can be there so that – and by the way, decision-making was great at NDSU. 19 games, 1 interception. I know he's already turned the ball over in San Francisco, but it's a guy that has shown the ability and the want to take care of the football. And you're just looking for him to take the layups because the Steph Curry bombs from downtown, those are coming. The thunderous dunks, those are coming. The wild plays will happen, but you just want to get him in more of a rhythm to take the layups. And that, I think, is your biggest concern, or what you want to see of his development is, can he be more consistent than Jimmy? Because he can already do things that Jimmy can't do. It's that pick in the fourth quarter that Jimmy threw where you've got your hair in your hands. You're hoping that's the play moving forward that Trey doesn't make.
Right. Yeah. No, we're all excited to see, how he develops. Do how he is from a mental perspective, right? Because, one thing I've noticed, my time being in the NFL, New York Jets, I see all these super talented players in the locker room, but some guys don't pan out for one reason or another. And a lot of times it's because of work ethic. It's because of just that competitiveness. Maybe they don't have like that drive to go above and beyond to be great. Do you think that any of those things will be issues with Trey Lance that would kind of hinder him and maybe stop him from, being able to reach his maximum potential?
I don't, and I want to preface this, and I'm not like trying to brag or sound cool or anything like that, but like Trey and I are friendly. I covered his recruitment. I've known the kid since he was 18 years old. I know his mom and dad. So this is not the most objective opinion in the world, is what I guess I'm trying to tell you. But he comes from a great family. Dad's a football coach. Mom's a rock star. Always very, very mentally strong. Honestly, and wasn't voted a team captain as a freshman, but that was his team. And that's a team that went undefeated the year prior and went undefeated with him as a starter. And that's a hell of a culture there at North Dakota State. You can talk all you want about FCS, it's Division II, it's not. But you can talk about, lower level of competition all the live long day. You can even point to Carson Wentz's struggles. That's fine. What I'm telling you is this kid took over one of the best cultures in football, period. 9 of the last 11 championships at their level. That's a winning culture. They understand what it takes. They understand what the work is. And he literally led that team. I know guys that are 2 years older than Trey, 3 years older than Trey, that looked to Trey for leadership as a redshirt freshman in that program. He's a phenomenal kid. He's a good person. And I know not everybody cares. You can have assholes on your team if they win.
Yeah.
He's not an asshole. He's a great kid. And there's nothing from my many, many interactions with him that would lead me to believe there's going to be any side of the mental game, of the leadership game, of the confidence game, any of that's going to be a concern moving forward. He's a great kid and a great person. And to me, it's like, what's a franchise quarterback? That's Trey Lance. Trey Lance is a franchise quarterback.
I think that's the highest compliment you could probably pay to him, man. Ross Uglem, yeah. I appreciate you for coming on. Shout out, let everybody know where they can find all your work, your Twitter, where you're writing, who you're covering, all that good stuff.
So at Packer Report 66 for all your 49ers Packers coverage from, as you would say, our side, the Green Bay side this week. I'm at Ross Uglem on Twitter. And if you want to follow along with the journey of North Dakota State, it's just at Bison Report on Twitter. We'll have, Trey features here and there. Croc saw me out when Trey Lance lined up against Easton Stick in the preseason out in LA. I was able to go out and cover that game. And I'll probably be at 49ers games in the future, just continuing to tell Trey's story because he's obviously a big deal for our university. That's where I live. I do cover the Packers, but I'm here in Fargo. And, Trey's obviously a huge deal to us and a huge deal to the future of your franchise.
All right, man. Ross, I appreciate you coming on. You've been more than gracious with your time, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Croc.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my guy, Ross Uglem. I saw the chat. All right. One thing that I want to make sure that you guys understand is when I bring on the guest, it's not for me to tell them about the 49ers. All right, we talk about the 49ers. We understand how we feel about the Niners and their matchup against the Green Bay Packers or whoever they're playing. But I want to hear another perspective, and you let them get that out. So what I'm going to do now is, I know it's, we're about 10 minutes away from where we usually stop, but we're going to keep it going. All right, I'm going to put this in the chat, and whatever issues that you had with the conversation and you want to talk it out, feel free. All right, so there's a chat link right there to come on live and talk about it. I saw a lot of people were upset with some of the things that he was saying. Again, you have to understand, like, that's their perspective from a Packers fan, and they want to give us their side, and that's why I bring on these guests so we can hear that. Just like, we had our guy from the Cowboys last week. The week before that, we had the Rams guy, and most of them are going to paint the narrative of this battle in a way to where, their team is the superior team. And I mean, if I were a Packers reporter fan, I would feel very confident as well. I would feel very, if the Packers are the number one team in the NFL and they have Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and they got a lot of guys coming back. So if I'm them, I feel comfortable as well. Like, man, 49ers got to come into our house. We beat them earlier this year. We got reinforcement coming. We got guys that were hurt. They're coming back. Yeah, man. If I was covering the Packers or I was a Packer fan, I'd be like, yeah, man, Packers got this. Just, don't turn the ball over, something like that. Now, from the 49ers standpoint, I look at it as it's not the same 49er fan I think they think they saw early in the season. And I know there have been some close games with the 49ers. This team is battle tested. And one thing about the 49ers, some of these games get how they are as close as they are because 49ers do things to kind of get in their own way. And if the 49ers can just kind of eliminate some of that, they'll be all right. Here we go. Coming on first, I got my guy Ryan, man. Ryan, how you doing? AKA Ricky Williams.
Good morning, man. Good morning. I would read the chat too. I don't think it was just like we was like mad at them, but after you see a team that's been in the playoff mode for the last 8 weeks and playing some real physical football, you would think he'd just be a little more like, it sounds like he's taking us very lightly. Like, I don't mind him giving his perspective about how he thinks his team is going to win and all the pros that that they do have. But it was like, dog, you don't be dismissive of what we've been doing. You know what I mean? And I was even thinking about the Baltimore game or even the Packers in general over this year. It wasn't like they have been a very dominant team. I mean, even the game against Cleveland, they won, but Baker tossed 4 interceptions and the game was in the mid-20s. You know what I mean? But Cleveland was able to run the ball down their throat. Same thing with the Baltimore Ravens. Even though their whole secondary was dismantled, you're missing a MVP player in what's my boy name, Lamar Jackson. You still, you know what I'm saying? They were still able to keep up with a team like that. So it was just, you know what I'm saying? And then also it's that time of the year. We just finished beating the Dallas Cowboys, and then the Green Bay Packers up. So I think we were just kind of like we in playoff mode, you know what I'm saying? And we just kind of like
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on, Ryan.
all right, man. Peace
All
out.
right. All right, here we go. Next person up. I got my guy Chris, aka Roscoe's, man. Roscoe's, talk to me.
What's up, Croc? How's it going? It's Thursday. I'm excited. The Niners about to play on Saturday.
And,
Whew.
I keep forgetting that they play in like 2 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is essentially kind of like Friday for 49er fans. The game is coming up pretty quick.
It's almost go time, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for our front four. I'm excited about our run game. I'm excited about Debo. He said Debo. I don't think Debo's going to be much of a factor. He's a liar. He is worried about Debo. There's nobody who matches up with Debo on their team. As a receiver, yes, Jair Alexander. But as you've seen, they didn't even have Diggs on Debo like that because Debo plays all over the field. He is not a one receiver guy. Like he said, I'm a wide back. So I'm not sure what he was talking about. Oh, we match up well with Debo. The thing that really annoyed me, what he said is, when you guys up 27, we're 27 to 10. It would be, crazy to think that y'all would quit. Or I'm like, what? We not built like that. That's all I wanted you to tell him is cry. I wanted you. I know you don't, go back and forth with them. But at least one thing I wish you would have said is like, nah, bro, we not built like that. We don't quit. We don't lay down. If we was gonna lay down, it would have been when we were 3-5. But nope, every time we got down, we answered the call. We lost to the Titans, we answered the call. We don't quit. We don't lay down. We are not built like that. We are different. We're cut from a different cloth. We are beasts out here, okay? But
yeah.
I'm excited.
No,
man.
that's real. And one thing about the 49ers and kind of what was going through my mind was the 49ers don't get blown out. So so the quitting aspect of it, I don't even think that's an option. Like you said, if there was any quit in his team, it would have been it would have been when the 49ers were 2-4, when they were 3-5. And Kyle Shanahan sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo through that time shows him, hey, we're not quitting on this season. And
if there was a team that was gonna quit, it'd be the Packers. Because they're the ones I seen quit when we played them. Like I did not like that comment. And another thing is, Aaron Rodgers in his last 11 playoff games had 8 interceptions. So I as well as these Packer fans love to talk about him, Aaron Rodgers from the regular season is a different Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. So they better brace themselves because uncharacteristic turnovers. See, he mentioned the fumble by Aaron Jones, which that really set it off, for the Buccaneers. But he didn't mention that first half interception by Aaron Rodgers. So, these Packer fans don't like to mention that. I have not seen none of them mention like, yeah, man, Aaron Rodgers actually, he may not turn the ball over in the regular season, but the playoffs, he's a completely different player. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited, Croc. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go.
I'm out of here, though. You have a good one, bro.
All right, here we go. Next up, we got my guy Dion. Dion's back. Done with the workout, huh? I see you. Deshaun's coming on, too. Deshaun, he finished his workout as well. So you back home. You finished the workout. How you feeling, man?
Hey, man, I feel good. I feel real good, man. My job requires me to go get the booster, so I got it yesterday, but luckily it's not affecting me in a negative way. Shoulder hurt a little bit, but
2 days ago. I got my booster 2 days ago. Arm a little sore, but aside from that,
Exactly. So quickly, the only thing I had to say is the same thing that everybody else has been saying. The disrespect to Debo. I need you to calm down, sir. I need you to calm all the way down. I need you to bring it down several notches. No one matches up with Debo, period. And because of that, he going to snatch your linebacker chain. I guarantee you.
Hold on, Dion. You got to look at it from his perspective, right? Like he was saying, in their eyes, when they played early in the season, Debo had 2 carries. Whatever those carries were, jet sweeps or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He had 2 carries, 0 yards. So So he's looking at it from the perspective of, hey, we done seen them give him carries and we shut that down. So that's his perspective, not knowing that he's utilizing a totally different way. Back there in week 3 or whatever that was, there was no, hey, we're just I formation, Debo's right here, hand the ball off to him and let him do his thing, where you utilize him as more of a traditional running back. The 49ers weren't doing anything like that early on, or a lot of the movement stuff where they motion them into the backfield and then toss to him. A lot of the ways that they use Debo in the run game now, they didn't do that. So they don't know that. All they know is on paper, he had 2 carries, 0 yards, shut it down, not worried about him.
Yeah, I can understand that, but at the end of the day, if you are really, and I'm not knocking this guy's knowledge. I'm 100% sure he's a big student of football. But you don't come on to a 49er show, say Debo is going to be a non-factor based off of that. Because if you've been watching the rest of the season, Debo been eating people up. Like, I look at everything. I know that Aaron Jones is a threat. I know for damn sure Devontae Adams is a threat. I know Valdez-Scantling is a threat over the top. I know if we stop those two, we still got to deal with Allen Lazard and possibly Randall Cobb. I know the type of person that Aaron Rodgers is. So I know what he presents and what he poses to me. Even if he has a bad game, that don't mean that he won't have a good one. I appreciate what Chris said as far as the interceptions in the playoffs, but my thing is, underestimate Debo if you want to. He gonna roll up on you like Red, ask you what you got on his touchdown, snatch your chain, go score, and then come back and ask you for some more. That's all I got to say. I got to get to work. Appreciate you, Crocky. I know how you do when you don't, go back at them, but we go back at them for you. So if you out there, you still watching, brother, Debo all up on you now. You done woke a sleeping giant, and it's unfortunate because he about to come and stomp through Lambeau Field. We gonna get that W, baby. Peace, Crocky. Love you, baby.
All right. And my guy Dion, here we go. Got my guy Deshaun. Deshaun fresh off of a workout too. Are you still got that pump going? Because Dion, he still had that, like, I don't know if he took pre-workout or whatever, but that was still flowing, man.
Yeah, no, I've kind of just finished my little protein shake. I'm good. I'm calming down. Couple points I wanted to make though. He didn't really touch on it. I'm like, we almost beat them. This is before the Niners actually had identity. Before we figured our identity out, we almost beat them in the 4th quarter. So, and then on top of that, like I said, it was before Debo actually became a wide back. And you got to remember, Trey Sermon, I think he averaged under like 4 yards a carry. I think it was 3 something. Elijah Mitchell.
That was the 49ers' worst. That was the 49ers' worst rushing performance, and that was the Packers' best performance against the run. And I think 49er fans will tell you, well, there was no Elijah Mitchell. Debo wasn't a big part of it, so I think that's a little bit of context that's kind of left out from earlier in the season.
Yeah, for sure. And this is before Azeez started going crazy. Our linebacker core finally got it together. And this was actually when Fred Warner, a lot of people was kind of doubting Fred Warner and his intensity. Man, these guys were playing on a whole nother level right now on defense. And I really think he also didn't pay a lot of respect to our defensive line, man. We're getting 13 rushes. We're getting averaging 5 sacks, I think, the last couple of games. We're getting to the quarterback, man. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. Just pay some respect to that D-line because we've been going crazy. You got DJ Jones. I think he's one of the best run stoppers in the league, if not the best. It's going to be a long day for the Packers, man. That's all I wanted to say out here.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yep.
All right. I see a comment here. This is a good one from our guy, Elena McCullum. Niners barely beat Dallas that couldn't score. Right, man. And you got to look at it like this, Elena. Cowboys have the number 1 offense in the league, number 1 scoring offense in the league, and they couldn't score. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because they just couldn't score, right? Like there was somebody on the other side of it that had a good game plan and a good scheme and good players that limited Cowboys scoring ability. I do agree with you in the sense of 49ers barely beat them, and I've talked about it ad nauseum on here that, the 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback have a tough time kind of stepping on teams' throats and putting them away. And there were some throws that he missed. 49ers were up 23-7. He had an out route wide open, Brandon Ayuk, and he sailed it, right? And that kind of led to kind of keeping the Cowboys in the game. I think that would have been the nail in the coffin. So the good thing with the 49ers, regardless of if they barely won, they can barely beat anybody. And I think you look at how the Packers beat the 49ers early in the season. The Packers barely beat the 49ers, a team that was up up after being down, and the 49ers drove down, scored a touchdown. They were up with 37 seconds left, no timeouts for the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers kind of worked his magic. So I think regardless of how you kind of spin it, it's going to be a competitive game. I appreciate the comment. Here we go. Got my guy Terrence coming on and get to talk a little bit more to Terrence today than yesterday. Here we go. Terrence, good morning. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, Crocky. How you doing, buddy?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling.
Yeah, man. But look, man, ain't nobody worried about that fake confidence, man. That's what I was hearing. I was hearing all that fake confidence he was spewing, man. He don't believe half of the stuff he said, bro. He doesn't. He can't. I mean, come on, man. You talking about the Green Bay Packers team. When the last time they went to the Super Bowl?
Last time they won it was 2009, was it?
Precisely. So
yeah.
he acting like they go to the Super Bowl every other year or something, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, Aaron Rodgers scared to death, man. I'm telling you, he's a confident quarterback, but he's scared of that D-line. And he probably sitting home right now, y'all better block on Saturday night. I know that much. That's probably what he's saying,
Do you think that there's a sense, because I asked Ross about this, and do you think that there's a sense of like Aaron Rodgers having to prove to himself that he can knock off a 49ers organization? And I talked about like 2012, 2013, it's a different team now, but still the same organization, and you still kind of have that cloud hanging over your head. You saw them again in 2019. You got beat down again in that game. And I like that Chris brought up the whole quitting thing. He's like, man, the Packers quit more than the 49ers, and we didn't seen it, and the 49ers have seen it in the playoffs, or even the early 2019 regular season, what that game looked like. It really looked like the Packers just gave up. And obviously, I'm not saying that they're going to do that again, but they have kind of shown that ability to where when the 49ers start to impose their will on them, it's like, man, we're going to kind of shut down. So, when you look at this game and Aaron Rodgers and how he has to prove that he can beat the 49ers in a pivotal game, like a crucial game, do you think that there will be anything to that, like as far as like the 49ers kind of in his head a little bit?
Oh, most definitely, Croc. The first of all, I believe did the boy grow up a 49ers fan? Did Aaron Rodgers grow up a 49ers fan? There you go, right there. There you go, right there. We already in his head. We've been in his head since he was 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? So of course he wants to beat us. Of course. And he was pissed on draft day. Don't forget that. He ain't forgot it. Don't forget. He was sitting there seething on draft day when the 49ers passed him up. And you better believe he wanted to come play for us. You know that. And he still wants to come play for us today. So, don't get it messed up, bro. I know. Trust me. This is the team that he wants to beat very badly. And he has not beat us in these playoffs. And he wants to knock us off and get to that Super Bowl that he wants so badly. He hasn't been, when this one thing's for certain, one thing's for sure. When we get to the playoffs, we go to the Super Bowl.
That's been the case, or at the very least, NFC Championship.
Right. We don't get knocked out. We don't get knocked out early. So we make it. So you better be scared of us, because that's look at the receipts. When we get there, we go to the bowl. That's all I'm saying. So I believe Aaron Rodgers is worried about that D line. If not for anything else, he's worried about that D line and staying upright, because he's just like any other quarterback, man. He get touched. If he get touched, he get knocked down. He gonna get flustered. He'll get shook up a little bit. Right. No quarterback likes it. No quarterback likes to be touched, Crocky. You know that. So it don't matter if it's Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Joe Flacco, whoever you're talking about. None of them like to get touched. So that's the key to the game. If the 49ers win this game, it's going to be because of that D-line getting to Aaron Rodgers and putting them on the dirt. That's it.
All right, Terrence, before I get you off, do you got a score prediction?
Oh, man. Let's see. Yeah. I think 24 points to do it against them, because I don't think they're going to score that much on us. I say 24-17.
All right. I like it, man. I appreciate you coming on.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Good. See you next time.
You too. All right, here we go. Shout out to my guy Terrence coming on. Shout out to everybody that contributed to such a great show. We still will be back tomorrow, Friday. It's going to be Fan Friday. Everything is going to be about you. We're bringing you on the whole time. Everything that y'all want to talk about, that's what we're going to get into. All right. Make sure if you like this show, if you've liked what you've heard today, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We've got almost 400 of you in here, pretty much consistent, about 400 people watching live. Shout out to all y'all. I love it. Underdog Fantasy, we're going to get into that tomorrow. I'll put the link in the chat where you guys can sign up, make you some money. All right, we'll be doing some over-under parlays and stuff like that. Obviously, you guys help me with all that stuff as well. We're going to get into that. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being cordial throughout this entire show. I think that's a nice way of putting it. But let's go, man. We are 2 days away. 2 days away. 2 days away. I appreciate y'all all coming on, man. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to Frontline Sports, the YouTube channel. All that good stuff, man. But y'all know what it is, man. From that day, I'm out. Peace. See y'all tomorrow.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.